Okay, today we're sitting here with John. And John, where are you from?
I'm from Manhattan, Upper East Side.
Okay, excellent, excellent. And you've been shopping for diamonds now for how long?
For this particular one, I would say probably about a month.
About a month?
Yeah.
Okay. And if I may ask, how did you hear about us initially?
I found you guys off this website called PriceScope.
Okay.
And then, basically, I talked to my girlfriend to get a better idea of what kind of engagement ring she was looking for, and she told me that she basically wanted something more vintagey, basically a cushion cut. And so, from there, I started looking at cushion cuts, message boards on PriceScope.
Okay.
And then came across you guys.
Excellent, excellent.
Yep.
So you found out pretty much from the get-go that she wanted a cushion.
Right.
And were you aware of the fact that there were different styles and types of cushions in the beginning?
No, I had no idea.
Okay, so
Yep.
you started researching cushions.
Right.
Which led you to PriceScope.
Right.
Okay, and then PriceScope, and there you found out about good old gold.
Right.
And more so about the different types of cushions and stuff like that.
Right.
Okay. And before you actually came to us, you've been to a few places already before?
Right. I've actually only been to one other place.
Okay.
I wanted to do as much research up front online, and then figure out like exactly what were, let's say, like the 3 to 5 major characteristics of what because like the kind of cushion that I was looking for is basically like a more vintagey old mine cut, and narrow it down to 2 places that basically kind of specialize in the old mine cut.
Okay.
So it's you guys and one of your competitors.
Sure.
I don't know, am I allowed to say the name of it on camera? But
no, you don't
leave it off.
No,
Okay, but
yeah.
and then from there I went and looked at the competitors located in Manhattan. Went and checked out this couple stones there, and then also came out here, took a look at the stones here, and
Sure.
I really wanted to see what was the difference basically between the August vintage cut and standard old mine cut.
Yeah. Or this other brand of vintage
right,
cushion
or
that
this,
you were considering also?
Right, exactly.
Okay.
And yeah, because you guys have, I saw a lot of your videos online, where you do a good job of illustrating the difference, but there's nothing like being there in person in terms of like actually seeing in person. And so yeah, for me, like, even though I wasn't able to compare like the stone from the competitor like with the stone like your August vintage here, I mean, I still remember like it's a big enough difference. Like, it's a pretty striking difference.
Sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I was gonna ask you a little bit about that, because interestingly, we read reviews of our diamonds from
Right.
people who haven't even seen them.
Right.
And they're saying they don't like this or like that. I'm like, sometimes I'm just thinking to myself, how do they even know it? They've never
Right.
seen it, But that's a key thing, at least to us, because cut quality is something that people can see the visual results of. So, and we happen to have access to these the 2 other branded vintage cushions. I don't market them as a brand, but we have access to these. And what's nice is we were able to show John visually side by side, and really, quite frankly, I don't push any one thing over another. I like to educate our clients, show them what the differences are, and whatever pleases their eyes most, by all means, that's what we want to help them with. But so when you compared the August vintage cushion to this other cushion, which we have here, in fact, how would you describe the visual differences between those 2 diamonds when you look at them?
Well, I would say there's probably 2 main differences in my eyes. The August vintage, first of all, the way it's cut is like much. I sort of view it as almost being more symmetrical, and so I actually looked at a number of August vintage cushions here, and they all are cut like almost in a very standardized basis, like where you have the Maltese cross pattern, and so that's actually, to me, like, that's something that I prefer. And then the other big difference, I think, is like, especially like in the center part of the cushion, the facets they're fatter, broader, it's very clear, like, and for like the type of stone that I was looking for, a cushion, more vintagey look, to me that's, I wanted like that sort of like broader, fatter facet type look. And then I guess the way I would describe, the old mine cut would be that it's almost more crinkly, crinkly or crushed icy type look, and so which is what I sort of associate more with like almost like a round brilliant, and so and that's great, like if that's sort of like what you're looking for. But I think in terms of what my girlfriend wants, it's when she says like she wants something more vintagey, more in a cushion cut, and I actually showed her that online, like well, do you like this better or do you like that better? Like she told me exactly what she wanted, so like that's why, and I think like the August vintage cut, basically encapsulates much more beautifully like exactly what she's looking for.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. So would you kind of I guess maybe agree in the sense that if a diamond is going to have broad facets, let it have broad reflections of light to accompany those facets.
Right. And I think like if you're looking for that style, like to the broad facets, I think like fit that style much better. Like it's almost like if you want to get a sports car, like you want something that also has like a like the type of engine that would go with a sports car versus just it's like the fit is better.
Sure.
And so I think like and I had no idea about all this stuff like when I started off looking at cushions, and yeah, in a lot of ways like almost I feel like looking for cushions is more difficult versus like if you're looking for like a round brilliant, just because there's so many different variations. But yeah, I think definitely in terms of what the type of like antique-y, vintagey type look that my girlfriend wanted or wants, the August vintage is basically the best thing that I've been able to find, at least so far, in terms of what she's looking for. Yeah.
All right.
Good. And I'm trying to think if there's anything else that we should cover along.
You want to talk about like how I ended up getting the third stone? The fact that we were so I ended up getting this is my first time out here, and I wasn't planning on it, but actually on this visit I found the stone that is going to be the center stone for my girlfriend's engagement ring. And originally John and I were comparing two other stones, which were very similar. They were both like more square cuts, very similar colors, very similar similar grades in terms of like the inclusions, and I had a really hard time picking between the two, and I think like we probably spent like a good over 2 hours like looking at it. And then so originally I decided, okay, I'm gonna put these two stones on hold, and then but just before I leave, I just want to make sure like there's no other stones I should be looking at. And we looked through the inventory, and there was like one other stone that looked interesting in terms of the specifications online, and he brought it out. And as soon as I looked at it, right when you pulled it out, I knew that was the one that I wanted to get. I just wanted to make sure like the inclusions, stuff like that, were okay, and they ended up turned out to be better than I had hoped for. So yeah, I mean, that's great.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And another thing very interesting too. So as we were looking at diamonds, as John and I were looking at diamonds, John wanted to really clear off a few things in his mind. Number one, he wanted to clarify the differences in cut quality between the August vintage versus other vintage cushions. The second thing John wanted to also clarify was, could he live with a J color
Right.
in an August vintage cushion?
Right.
And what did you, when you compared, because we compared an F next to a J.
Right. So I was not able to really tell the difference, like looking at the two stones when you're looking at it just like directly on top, like basically on the primary face. And it's not until you actually tilt it, to the side, like more the side profile, where you can see the difference. But like on the top, it's it's very, very difficult to tell the difference between an F and a J, and that's a pretty big jump in terms of the color.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I mean, I felt a lot more comfortable after.
John.
Great. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
I really appreciate it.
Yeah.
Definitely. Excellent.
My name is John. I'm from Manhattan, and I traveled all the way to good old Gold to buy my diamond.